On my first team, hammers were banned entirely because my team was so sick of having turnovers because of them. The hammer is one of the most disliked throws in the game because of how often it gets misused, but it doesn't have to be this way. When used responsibly, it is a great throw and very powerful that lets you target teammates that you can never target before. However, when misused, it can be very frustrating for teammates and can get you benched quickly. The hammer is a throw that looks really cool, and because of that, a lot of people want to learn how to do it. However, the hammer is a throw that requires a lot of advanced knowledge in order to be used successfully. Accuracy alone is not enough in order to complete a hammer in a game. You can throw it the best form ever and throw it exactly where you want, but it means nothing if it hangs in the air long enough for the defender to catch up. Throwing skill is made up of two different groups. The first group deals with accuracy, technique, and velocity. The second group deals with decision making, throw selection, and field vision. You need skills in both groups to complete a pass. It doesn't matter how accurate you are if you are throwing to people who aren't open. It doesn't matter how open the person is if you can't get it there. While hammers aren't that much harder than our previous throws in the first group, they are significantly harder in the second group. The key to using hammers responsibly is mastering a concept I call throw selection, and that is what we'll be going over for the rest of this video. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that there are a lot of different ways to get the disc to the exact same spot. We can make it go straight to the cone, we can make it bend into the cone, and we can make it rise up or drop down into it. Today we're taking this one step further, and understanding that while they end in the same spot, they are not equal. Each approach takes a different amount of time to get to the target, and each has a different reading and catching difficulty. If you're new to Ultimate, reading is the ability to look at a disc in the air and know where it's going to land. The flat approach is the king of all approaches because it is the most efficient, easiest to read, and easiest to catch. Flat throws have the shortest path possible because they go in a straight line. So assuming you can throw all your throws at the same max speed, your flat throw will always get to your target faster than any other throw. This matters because it gives you the best possible chance to get the disc to your target before the defender gets there. They are the easiest to read because they go in a straight line, so it's very easy to tell where it's going to land, and the easiest to catch because they have a flat angle to catch with. Now let's compare flat to bends. Bends have a very long flight path, are hard to read, and are thrown angled, so they are more difficult to catch. Even if your bend is thrown with perfect form, if it takes too long in the air, the defender will be able to catch up and block it, whereas if you had thrown it flat, it might have gotten there in time. Additionally, because bends are hard to read, your teammate can completely misjudge it and go the wrong direction, resulting in a turnover even though you threw it perfectly. A bend should never be thrown if a flat throw could have been used successfully, because it's less efficient and harder for your teammate to catch. The only time bends should be used is when you actually need the disc to bend for the situation. For example, let's take these goals, and imagine that they are defenders. If I try to throw flat here, it will be defended, so the throw that works the best is to bend it around them. Only use bends when they are the best throw for the situation. Being accurate with them doesn't justify their use. Rises and drops are a decent amount more efficient than bends, which is useful, but it's still less efficient than flat. So if you could throw both a bend and a rise, you should pick the rise, because it will get there faster and is easier to read. A hammer is a type of bend that goes upside down, so it's even harder to catch than OIs and IOs. Using a hammer is literally the hardest possible approach to get the disc completed. Hammers have a long flight path, are hard to read, and are the most difficult to catch. As a thrower, it is our responsibility to put our teammate in the position that gives them the best chance of catching it every single time. Hammers should only be used when they are the best throw for the situation. They can be effective when attacking the break side and when trying to get it over defenders. However, they should never ever be thrown if a more efficient throw could have been used instead. Just because they end in the same spot does not make them equal. Understanding how each throw is different is crucial to completing them in games. For those of you who don't know, this is what a hammer throw looks like. The hammer is a throw that looks really cool, and because of that, a lot of people want to learn how to do it. However, it is an advanced throw and needs to be treated like an advanced throw. The hammer has a ton of progressions, and they all need to be learned first. You are not ready to learn a hammer until you can do all of these consistently, at least in my opinion. By now you should know how to throw a flat forehand, flat backhand, OI forehand, OI backhand, IO forehand, and IO backhand. The reason why you need to know these is because they are all required to use the flat approach. In the wind, you use OIs and IOs to counter the wind to throw straight. I go over why the flat approach is so important in this video right here. You need to know this too. Also, practicing these throws develops your overall ultimate skill, not just with accuracy, but skill in decision making, throw selection, and field vision, which are just as important as accuracy. It doesn't matter how accurate you are if you are throwing to people who aren't open. Again, this concept is covered in my Intro to Hammer video. Once you have all these throws, learning the hammer isn't that hard, because you have all the skill necessary, whereas if you had jumped right to it, it would have been a lot harder, because you have to learn so much at once. So the first skill we need is we just need to be able to throw a ball overhand. I was a very competitive softball player for a long time and threw hundreds of thousands of balls, and had already mastered overhand throwing before I ever came to Ultimate. However, Ultimate is a little weird in that the majority of throws are sidearm. You can have an absolutely amazing backhand, but not even be able to throw a ball 5 feet because it's a completely different skill. For many of you, the most challenging part will be getting your overhand skill up to par because you have just never worked on it. I know this seems really basic, but throwing overhand hasn't been required up until this point, and many of you need to work on getting your motion more powerful. The farther that you can throw a ball overhand, the farther you are going to be able to throw a hammer. The overhand throwing portion is a big part of this throw, and no matter how good the rest of your ultimate skill is, if you can't throw overhand, you can't throw a hammer. In order to throw a hammer, you need to combine overhand throwing with ultimate skill. When you do that, you get a hammer. Normally, when we throw a ball, we get to pick up our front foot to generate power, but in Ultimate, our pivot foot has to stay on the ground at all times. Our first progression is to be able to generate momentum forward without picking up our front foot. If we pick up our front foot, it's a travel. Our next step is to be able to throw from a parallel position. My left foot has to stay on the ground. If you can do this, you can throw a hammer. On to ultimate skill. The grip is the same as a double down forehand. If you throw split, you will have to switch your grip when you throw a hammer. This is one of the downsides to the split grip. Just like with all grips, you want to make sure to take up all the space for it to not slip. This is how you throw a forehand. This is how you throw a hammer. Forehand, hammer. Your elbow is going to push up, your arm is going to come through and then slice down. So again, your arm is pulling yourself forward, your arm is coming through and slices down. I like to think of it like a slice serve. You're going to hit the side of the ball and slice down. So altogether, it will look like this. We are going to practice this slicing motion a whole bunch of times. It's a really hard tight snap. That's what makes it break. Then once you can do that, add in the full arm motion and do that a bunch of times. So just like with all our other throws, we don't just turn our hand over. We get to extension and then follow through. It looks like this. Your chest needs to point up towards the sky, because that's what makes it go up. If your chest is pointing down, like this, it will go straight into the ground. The hammer has different types of footwork. You can throw from your base position like this, or you can step straight back and throw from a power position like this. This is when you throw with your foot straight back. I think this is the easiest way. It gives you the most power and control. It allows you to get all your momentum into it. This is what it looks like when you throw from the base position. It's a little harder, but it's faster because you don't have to step back, and it disguises what you are throwing a lot better. Different angles make the disc bend at different intensities. The hammer has a wider range of angles than other throws. You can throw it really flat like this, or really vertical like this. One of the most common mistakes is overthrowing your angle. It looks like this. If your throw is too flat for your velocity, you will get a double curve. In order for this to not happen, you need to release the disc more vertical so it doesn't turn back. It will turn right if your angle is vertical enough. You can really see the difference of the angles here. If my target is here, I need to aim out here so it can bend into it, like this. It bends to the middle. You can never aim directly at the target, or you will miss to the right. You have to adjust to the left for it to bend to the middle. From here on, it's just about practice. getting used to adjusting your aim and throwing with different angles, getting used to how the distance of the throw affects the bend, making sure you're getting to extension and then completing the follow through, not just turning your hand over, working on overhand throwing skills to get your motion more powerful to throw farther, making sure you are keeping your pivot foot down to not travel, and learning how to generate momentum forward with your footwork, being able to throw with one foot back and from your parallel position consistently, getting the slicing motion down for nice hard breaks. With every hammer, you should be thinking about 3 things: how far your target is, what angle you're using, and where the aiming point is based off those 2 answers. Accuracy comes when you can correctly find the aiming point. With practice, you'll gain consistency and be able to throw with confidence in a game. Okay guys, so today we're going to be going over some drills that you can do to improve your hammer throw. We're going to be starting from complete scratch and building up to being able to throw from distance. Okay, so to me, the most important part of the hammer throw is being able to get the disc to completely come over flat. When you get it to come over flat, it makes it the easiest to catch. Hammer throws become a problem when they don't come over, so when they fall at an angle, it makes it really hard to catch. So the key to getting your hammers complete in games is getting them to come over nicely, because this makes it really easy to catch. So the grip for a hammer is the same as a 2-finger down forehand. It looks like this. Okay, so we're going to start off with just practicing the slicing arm motion. So like this. Okay, so it's really important to keep your chest up because we need the disc to go up to get over the mark. So you're going to come up and then slice down. We're going to do this 10 times. So for footwork, I actually have a mini progression before we go on to ultimate skill. We first need to be able to be in a throwing position without being able to pick up our front foot. So if you ever played a sport that you threw a ball like football or baseball, you are always taught to pick up your front foot. So like this. So our first progression is being able to throw without picking up our front foot. So we're just going to practice throwing in a normal way while not picking up our front foot. So like this. We're going to do this 10 times. So next we're going to do that exact same thing, but we're going to add the snapping motion of a hammer into that. Then next we're going to work on a more traditional stance where you go from your base position and then step out. This is harder than what we did before because it's harder to get power into your throw. So a hammer has multiple types of footwork, and we want to make sure that we are practicing both of these. So you can use a power stance like this, and you can use a more traditional stance like this. The traditional stance helps get the disc out faster, and a power stance helps you get more distance on the disc. So for shorter throws, if you want the disc to land flat like this, you have to throw at a flatter angle because the disc doesn't have as much time to break. So for longer throws, it's going to be more vertical because it's breaking for a long time, so it has time to turn over. But for shorter throws, it doesn't have that time, so you have to throw it more flat. And in order to throw flat, you have to clear space for your arm. So you'll see that I almost throw around my head. It's kind of over my head in order to get this flat of an angle. Okay, so now we're going to start combining everything together. We're going to combine our footwork with our arm motion and throw short range. We're focusing on good technique here and a nice hard snap. Okay, so when you are practicing this, you want to pay attention to how the disc is turning over. So a correct throw for turning over goes like this. It turns this way and then comes down flat if you're right-handed. If it goes like this, that means it's overthrown. If it doesn't turn over far enough, so it just goes like this, that means it wasn't thrown hard enough or you didn't have a big enough angle. So when you are practicing this, you want to pay attention to how you are missing and then fix that so it doesn't happen every time. So now we're going to throw mid-range. We're going to do exactly what we did before, but throw a little harder. If you can't maintain your form, you want to go back to a shorter distance and keep working from there. So if you have wobble in your disc when you release it, normally this is a grip issue. You want to try to take up as much space as possible in the pocket of your hand and down in the rim. So next we are going to try deep range. We're going to do the exact same thing as mid-range, but now we have to throw farther. And this greater distance makes a bigger challenge for us because now we have to throw with a stronger angle, so more vertical. The harder you throw it, the more of an angle you need for it to come over nicely flat. So if the disc goes like this on you, that means you didn't throw it with a strong enough angle and you need to release it more vertical. So once you can do that, the next step is testing your accuracy. And just keep on increasing your range until you are content with it. If you still have questions or this video helped you learn how to throw a hammer for the first time, definitely let me know in the comment section below. If you're really struggling, check out my practice support feature on my website. Thanks if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to share this with anyone you think could benefit from it. This is Ultimate 101, and I'll see you next time.